everybody on board is when was building those relationships, I built key relationships with some of the really important stakeholders at your school. And who is your frontline person at your school? The front face is your secretary, right? They can be, sometimes they're the gatekeeper to the principal. So building that relationship with your secretary, your school secretary, is really important too. And I did this by including them on my weekly emails. Every Monday, I would send out an email to my principals, both of my secretaries at each school, my bookkeepers, because they took turns in the front office, and then my AmeriCorps members. So everybody on my team knew what was the plan for the week. And this included not just when I was going to be out of the building, but also things that I was working on so that it kept my programs always on their mind and on their lips. So I would send, this is just an example of something I might send out on a Monday morning. And you can see some of the things are actual things that I'm going to be doing, like Tuesday, family night at Silver Creek, 5 to 7, I would be tied up, or Wednesday, our clothing trip, and we would be out from 8:30 to 12:30. But some of the things that I included were programs that I was working on, and this was so that they had an idea of some of the things that I was doing. So I was, prepping for the clothing trip by getting the roster together and making the labels, talking to the teacher about or talking to the nurse about allergies, getting the list together for the teachers so they knew who would be out of class, things like that. After school programs are included, community meetings are included in there, your distribution time for your backpack program, things like that. Because a lot of times, is your principal going to read this every morning? Probably not. Probably not look at it every Monday morning and keep that in their mind. But you know what? Because I invested in a relationship with my school secretaries, I didn't ask them to do this. I saw that they printed the email out and set it by their computer so that if anybody, principal, staff, anybody said, I haven't seen Lisa all day, they could say, oh, today she is at the other school doing a clothing trip and she won't be back here till 12:30. So these kinds of things are a great way to communicate with your leadership in your building so that they are getting that buy-in to your program, and also keeping them aware and building that communication of what you're doing. Another thing I did is I would send out monthly emails. And this is why your RPMs probably talk to you a lot about keeping up with your documentation and Infinite Campus, because there's a wealth of just process data that you can pull out of Infinite Campus. Now, is process data the kind of data you're going to use for an impact report to show that you've done something really amazing? Probably not, but it can be a quick report you can run to see um, how many numbers of people that you have impacted or serviced. So I would do monthly emails, really super short, to my principals, staff, advisory council members, site-based members got CC'd on this, my district contact and superintendent. I sent it to my RPMs, and probably didn't send it to my legislators every month, but I did send it to them regularly just so that they, were in my loop. But it would be a really quick something that even if they didn't open up, they could maybe see the whole message in their preview panel of their email. So I would say, did you know in December, my center, and I said, because I serve more than one school, I put what schools I served provided, because if this is going out to, your superintendent or your legislators, they're going to want to know what schools. And then I would do 3 to 4 bullets, keep it really simple. How many kids or how many students you serve for Christmas? How many food boxes? How many home visits did you do? Things like that. Here's another example of something that I would send out, and I would pull these numbers, the intervention numbers, straight from Infinite Campus. Also, my food bag numbers, my backpack program, and then choose And then I would also, when I sent this out, I would include in here God's Outreach because they provide the food bags for me, the food for my backpack program. And I would also CC EKU's baseball coach who coordinated with Samaritan's Feet for the program and the Samaritan's Feet program or contact person, because that way they're seeing, okay, she is promoting what we're doing for their school too. It makes them feel really good. Plus, you would not believe, I didn't do this. I was, like I said before, I was a coordinator for 14 years. I was probably in my role for 8 years before I started doing the weekly and monthly emails. And always I got responses back. Not a lot, but I mean, probably, because I probably sent them to about 125 people. But I usually would get at least 25 responses from each monthly email that I sent out about, wow, I really didn't realize that you did this, or our frisky is the best, or, something like that. But it's just a way you're not tooting your own horn, but you are promoting your program. And it's important to promote your program because, this is, the way that you are going to promote what you're doing for your kids, what you're doing, how you're breaking down those barriers. This is an example, and I know I saw somebody say something about the PowerPoint, and I'll email you, uh, or I'll send to Greg so he can do a wide email about both our PowerPoints and this document right here. I will send to you too. This is a Did You Know, and it's a half year, but you could change the dates. I'll send it to you in any kind of format you want, but you can see, like, this would be, you could include your center name, your dates, you could run it year round or whatever. And then it has your component areas. You could change that to something else if you wanted to. But also, every one of these numbers can be pulled from your Infinite Campus straight from your Infinite Campus state report. And you can quickly change your graphics, change your numbers, add things, delete things, change it how you want. But the most important thing is that you're sending this out to everybody that you can think of should get your end of the year report, or if you're going to do it twice, a mid-year and an end of the year, your site base, your advisory council, your community partners, your superintendent, your legislators, they need to see these things. This is promoting your program, building your reputation, and also another way to push yourself into that school to be an integral part of your school building and the educational process. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to share with you is be a team player. I know that probably you all have figured out this, with COVID and, being limited doing things. I've seen lots of pictures of drive-through events where the host school is involved. This is exactly your mindset, whatever it takes, and you're going to be doing school-wide events. When we start opening up and things start changing and you're doing full-on programs, you're going to need some help. And so when other people around the building have big events, jump in and help too, because that shows that you're a team player, and then they're more likely to help you when you need it. Okay, and that's, I know, a lot of information in a short amount of time. I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl now, who is going to be talking about Frisk and how it can be an underutilized asset, but hopefully after this session, it will not be. So let me stop sharing.
And can Greg get my PowerPoint up?
I have it up now.
Okay, and if you'll share that with everybody.
I
Hi, everybody.
absolutely will.
I'm Cheryl Burns-Kraft. I work at Yealey Elementary School, and it is in Boone County. So I'm so glad to be asked by Lisa to be a part of this program. And how I came up the underutilized asset with my PowerPoint. And to do that was, I was called into the DPP office, and he says, I hear there's an issue within your school. And I said, and being professional as a coordinator and as a person and not disparaging. I told him, I'm an underutilized asset in our school, and I am trying to, I want to grow, and I want to be a part of our school. So we had a really nice talk. So I thought that would be a great way to start this presentation. Greg, I don't see it. The presentation, is it popped up? Can everybody see it? Thumbs up?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Do I need to share it?
No, I'll get it up in just a second. It crashed on me.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault.
Okay, so going on, but you can't see the presentation, so I'll come back to that line.
It's coming.
Okay, so these lines, I see this presentation found me, this format, this template to present this PowerPoint. So I see these circles as our CPP goals or whatever. And then I noticed these lines. I'm going, there is no direct line of getting our things accomplished. We do have to pivot. And so if you'll remember that phrase, trying to pivot would be one of those great things. And you lost it again, huh? Yeah. Okay. And then the next page says, what a problem. I'm sorry. Do you want me to go ahead and go on, or?
I could
Okay.
share it. I have it. Let me pull it up real quick. It's right here.
Okay.
Sorry, it keeps freezing when I try to share the PowerPoints. I've never seen this before.
Oh, it's okay. Is it allowing you to share?
Yeah.
Okay. And then slideshow.
Okay. Is it showing the
Slide-
slideshow?
No, it says enable editing first. And then you got to click that, and then you got to click slideshow, and then from the beginning. And we're on slide 2.
How about now?
Still,
Are you seeing the PowerPoint now?
I can see it, but did you click edit, hit enable editing?
No, but can you see? I mean, if you can see the PowerPoint, you can go on.
Okay, well then we're on slide 2.
Okay.
Okay, and so going back to my presentation here, the problem what is the problem? Meeting the FRISC requirements, CPP, and the contract versus the education vision. Lisa mentioned this, your principal that has a vision for the school. And sometimes that is, meeting both of those makes that happen. The other thing is, who has the problem? Well, it's the FRISC coordinator that has a problem. And why should this problem be solved? Because that allows your center to operate at high quality pursuant to our FRISC standards. And how will you know this problem is solved? And you can do that through your state reports, your impact reports, monitoring, and the self-satisfaction of a job well done. We're on the 3rd slide. Did it?
So I think I've got it finally.
Okay, thank you so much. We're on the back one.
There we go.
There we go.
Lisa, thanks for helping. I think we got it. Sometimes it takes a village. Cheryl, so sorry for the interruptions.
Oh, no. I hope everybody's okay with me just kind of pushing through. I just wanted to be cognizant of your time and your training. So here's my background. I began as a FRISC coordinator in late 2013. My education is a bachelor in English, it's professional writing studies with a minor in psychology. My challenge was this center that I operated had a past perception. We've had leadership change. I was a minimum budget and I needed to prove my worth. All these are interconnected. And in doing so and having those all connected, that's my background. But you see that I am not a licensed social worker, And, but I am a life seasoned individual person, have lots of life experiences and things like that. So, you sometimes hear, they said bad things happen to good people. Well, that bad things have happened to this good person. So, and in my life, lots of life-changing things. So, and then the next slide is workable solutions. Can you advance? There we go. And when I saw this slide in this presentation, I didn't change anything. I just added the Frisk way, whatever it takes. And we do this as Frisk coordinators. I want you to, I do it. I know you guys do it. You have a solution 1, you go through the same questions for solution 2 and solution 3. It's like that movie, National Treasure, where they find those lenses that, Ben Franklin created in that movie, and you're changing the lens to read the map. That's kind of whatever we do. So whatever it takes, whatever it takes us to read the map or to, as I said earlier, pivot, that's how we can do that. Next slide, things, please. The art of partnering. So in doing what I do, I know who I'm serving. So in our school, the Fram report's great for that. You can click that, you can include detail, and that gives you a call list. Every kid that's on the free lunch and the kids on the reduced lunch, you can choose those. And that's the majority of the kids that you will be serving. And you can see who's partnered up, you use IC, you do all those kinds of things. Knowing your community partners. My community partners are wonderful. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be successful. When COVID happened, we changed the Power Pack program, which is the weekend bags, to a family pack, because we knew that families were going to be impacted and that one little bag wouldn't serve. So we made family meals. We did that weekly. I said to my community partner, I think clothing is going to become an issue. We ended up having a clothing drive and then a clothing giveaway. And we lined up families, and the church took my vision and they spaced it out, and we set appointments with our families, and we were able to open this up. We started with 3 schools initially, and we were able to open it up to about 7 schools because we ended up with that many clothing. So it worked out really well. Adapt your CPP components to what's already happening in school. One way that I do this is, excuse me, social emotional learning is huge, which that meets the 5 protective factors. I work strongly with one of our guidance counselors here, so that's how we do that. Oh goodness. And be willing to be an extra person in somebody else's program. If the PTA is having a parent engagement night or Title I or something like that, if you could be that person, and if they do a pre and a post test, you can ask to share the data. And they just all these programs always ask for, and then share your talents. Everybody has personal talents. One of mine is I have a little bit of creativity, and I can sew. So I've been able to help kids learn to costume for the 5th grade play and get that. And then we're college and career ready school, so district. So to have kids college and career ready, I can speak to them about costume designing as a profession, and go on. Next slide, please. So other strategies. I document everything, especially in the beginning, as like a lot of you are, document everything. Then that way you make sure that you're clicking boxes in the end. it just kind of helps you. If you send flyers out, if you put that out on in your communication, have a copy of that, put it in your binder of what you're communicating, local community services or something on like the hippie program or first steps or something like that. Um, Active communication, Lisa brought this up. You've got to be, go to the meetings and listen, just, that, find out where you can fit in, thinking outside the box. You've got, everything is just not, families in training and bringing in born learning. It doesn't, sometimes that doesn't, how can you make that work, partner with other people in your district instead of just one family showing up for your burn learning. You're working as a team and you are 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 families come, a bigger impact. You can use that data. Be your own advocate. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. And remember, little things matter. That goes back to documenting everything. Little things make a difference here. So if you can do that, then you're growing. And then next slide, please. The final result, work smarter, not harder. That's where partnering comes in. Communicating, like I said, the last 2 years, social emotional learning, that it was really way I have been able to integrate myself within the school. I can, I work with the guidance counselor if we've got teams. I have on hand journals. We had a discussion about one girl, and I said, wouldn't it be nice to have a positive affirmation journal here for other girls who might be struggling? Because we've determined a journal might be good for this person, and something that gives her positive affirmation. And I will let you know that little girl I just spoke with her last week. How's the journal? I love it. It is so good. So, and then I've been able to use another journal with another student. So having those tools on hand. So, I mean, and then teamwork, work within your district, work within your school, your guidance counselor, there's teachers. If you have a kindergarten registration, you can meet some of your goals there. If you have information on 0 to 5 at your table or whatever, just and your business card. Your business card is huge. Hi, they may not have time to talk to you at this time. I'm the family resource coordinator. If this was something you would like, if you ever need me, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Just that you're available again. And just remember, you are an asset to your school, your center, your district, and countless students and families. And that, Lisa, are you there?
I am here. Thank you so much. Yes, I was telling Cheryl, I was glad she put in there that work harder, not or work smarter, not harder, because it it took me a while to get that. Like I was notorious for, getting a big donation and I didn't want to inconvenience anybody. And so I would unload it all myself. And it, it was not long before my body started screaming, "Hey, what are you doing?" So invest in, I'm going to go back to invest in those relationships with key people in your building, your secretary, your custodians that have the dollies and the good backs. They can definitely help you with unloading. Your cafeteria people are key for, building those relationships with them because they will help feed your kiddos that are late or hungry before lunch. They also will let you use their refrigerators and stuff like that if you have stuff you need to store sometimes. So definitely build those relationships with those important people. But that work smarter, not harder is a good thing to practice. So the next thing that we have planned for you all is we want to put you in groups and get you kind of talking to each other because you not only have 6 to 9 months probably now of experience in the Frisk world, but you're bringing other experiences with you. So we want you to share in small groups with each other. What can you do if your administration doesn't see Frisk as a partner in the educational process? What are things that you think might work? What are variants to communicating? Anything like that. So what can you do if the administration doesn't see Frisk as as a partner in the educational process? And we'll take probably about 15 minutes or so to chat, and then we'll come back and share out.
All right, we've got some breakout groups ready to go. Quickly introduce yourselves and then dig right in, because 15 minutes, as you know from breakouts, will probably fly by. And so any questions before we press the
Can we
button?
give them 20, and then if we see there's a lull, just bring them back a little bit early?
I sure can.
Okay.
It is now set for 20
Thank
minutes
you.
with a 30-second countdown to come back. All right, everybody, have good discussions. If you have any trouble, you can always bounce back to the main room. Welcome back, everyone. Technically, oh, I think we're good. I think everybody's back now.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I popped in, I think 3 different rooms, heard some really good conversation, but I would love to hear from you. So I'm going to open up my chat box, and then I'm going to ask if you would, if there's something that you shared with your group that you feel like that was a gem, I need to share it. I'd love for you to share it. RPMs also, if you if you heard something that somebody's not sharing that you felt like was really good, type that in the chat as well. So what are some things that you came up with that you can do if administration doesn't see Frisk as a partner in the educational process? Go ahead and type your comments in the chat. One of the things that
And
I
all
did
the
here in the
ideas were gems. So go ahead and put them all in there.
yes, yes. Insert yourself. Absolutely. One of the things I heard too was introduce yourself. Like somebody had said, they came in having a relationship with that school already because of their position prior. I think it was David had said he was a sub, but that he had to go around and introduce himself to new teachers. And that's a key. I mean, I know we were kind of in a different COVID time, but take the beginning of the summer when your new teachers are setting up their room to go in and talk to them and find out who they are, what things they like to do, what their experiences are as a teacher, but then also ask them what they know about Frisky and take that opportunity to educate them. Let's see. Get creative to reveal the need of Frisk. That is very important. One of the conversations I heard Dion was sharing some of the really neat ideas that she did as a way to uh, get to know her students was a Cougar Cash program with a kind of like taking donations and letting kids shop through the Frisk store. So that was neat. Try to join more meetings. Absolutely. Committees, meetings are a way to really build your rapport around the school. Keep school staff informed on what you're doing. Absolutely. Have conversations with the principal and explain your role. Yes, explain your role and the vision and mission of Frisk, what your core components are, your work plan, how you can mesh their vision to that. Collaborate with other school staff to assist in building relationships with admins, such as a guidance counselor. That is so important. That's another thing. If you can't get into that key relationship, if you've tried and tried and tried and nothing is working, find out who they are close to and work on getting a stronghold or building that relationship with that person. If their guidance counselor is their go-to person, you know, build that relationship with the guidance counselor. Absolutely. Communication, communication, communication. I couldn't have said it better myself. Partner with special class teachers to bring in programs. Yes. You are going to, as you get involved in community, and this is why we tell you that it's so important to develop those community relationships, is that you are going to um, find ways that you can bring them into your building to help this for this very same thing. Uh, let's see. Build relationships with staff through a teacher coffee bar we do once a month using community donations. That's excellent. I love that idea. I would sometimes get donations from one of my advisory council members was worked at a bank, and she a lot of times would say, what can I do for your teachers? And I totally use that to my advantage, because I would say, okay, when you're coming in to bring this, let me help you so that it can be a time they're coming into the Frisk or the FRC center, or even, taking it on a cart. I've seen that snack carts going around the school to the kids. You can do that with your teachers as well, so that you come to them and they're not having to come to you. Excellent ideas. Let's see. Honestly, of all the people that spoke in our group, we felt like our schools did a pretty good job about including us and helping us. We didn't feel like at this point we were left out a lot, or if we have been, we just don't know it yet. Ha ha ha. Many of us were employed with other titles, so we had relationships previously. You can always do more. We just had a pretty good start. That's good. And like you said, you've already taken that time to build those relationships. So that has served you well transferring into your Frisk jobs. So good job to you. Keep building and investing in those relationships. Um, and that's what I was telling Cheryl when we were talking about this presentation. You know, things in school never stay the same. And you can see that's evident with COVID. Things have had to change and shift, but your principals are going to change. Your, staff are going to change, and you have to figure out ways to continue to change and adapt with each one of those changes. Communication with new staff, and share your communication style with them, as long as along with learning their communication style. Excellent point. I heard this when I was in a group, and it is very important when you're walking around the building and a teacher says, hey, little Johnny told me this. It's great to acknowledge it and say, yes, thanks for sharing, I will follow up on that, but hey, between here and my office, I might get hit with 3 other things, so please email that to me so I don't forget. Perfect. Good point. Communication, or let staff know what your communication style is as well. Teacher appreciation initiatives. Yes, good job using community resources. Communicate what your center does on a school level and a district level. We provide a board report each month. That's excellent. I think it's important for your board, your superintendent, and your board members to know what the Frisk is doing. That's one thing. Our superintendent would come around our building maybe a couple times a year, and usually when they came, they would have 1 or 2 board members with them. And I would make a point, if they were in our building that morning, to quickly look up a couple different facts on Infinite Campus and give them some data. So when they walk by, I would say, hey, Lisa from the FRC just wanted you to know this month we did this. Always look for ways to promote your center. Mary Beth says, I think I've joined every meeting I possibly could thus far, but forming relationships with PTA has been my biggest asset. Good point. And we didn't talk about that. PTA, PTO, your parent groups can be, essential in bridging that homeschool gap. So great point, Mary Beth. And Victoria said that as well. And Dion, good job. Tara and our group made a good point about getting close to the resource officer in your school because they know the homes that are high risk and even do home visits with you and sometimes for you. They are a safety support we definitely need to rely on. And I would say not only your resource officer, but all your local police officers. If you have staff in your building that have husbands or wives that are police officers, get to know them too, because then you can get a personal cell phone and then you have a contact inside. Like I one time did a home visit and I could hear these two first graders inside the house, but I could not get anybody to open the door. And I knocked and I hollered and I called and I was really concerned. And so I ended up calling my friend's husband, who was a police officer, and he came and did a welfare check for me. So um, that is excellent idea, getting to know those resource and police officers in your community because they they can help you and they also can tell you what places to if you go to be very careful. Good comments. Anybody have anything? RPMs, you guys have anything you want to add? You want to unmute and see if you have anything to add to the conversation?
For me, I noticed that one of the things that came up in one of the rooms, I was kind of a fly on the wall and just listening to people talk. But somebody made the comment just concerning looking at what everybody else was doing in relationship to what they were able to do coming in new. I just kind of wanted to speak to that and just say it's kind of like if you're, the new kid on campus, you're not going to know everything the senior knows and, how to where are the best places to eat, how to get to this class the fastest. It's the same way in this job. Once you first get there, it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock, but you'll get your footing and eventually you'll be the one sending out those emails with those great ideas and all those wonderful things going. So don't get discouraged. If anything, make friends with those people and figure out how they're juggling everything. And I mean, it works out in the end, I promise, but it's going to be confusing in the beginning, I promise.
And that's what I did tell one of a couple coordinators that had mentioned they were in multiple schools and, you know, split their time. And I said, cut yourself some slack. And this goes for even if you have one school, cut yourself some slack because there's lots to learn in the Frisk world. I mean, you have your school policies you have to learn, you have to, in your school culture, you have to learn your district way of doing things. And then you have the state requirements too. So there is a lot to learn, not to mention all your students' names and your parent names and your teacher names. So cut yourself some slack, allow some grace. When dealing with people, be genuine, sincere, show appreciation. Thank you notes. That was another thing I wrote down. You know, if you can write thank you notes, handwritten, it means so much to people to get a handwritten card, just letting them know that you appreciate what they did for you or the time they spent on that. Um, Christmas break, I would write a handwritten note to every single person that helped me uh, provide gifts or food for my families. Anytime anybody made a donation to the center, I wrote them a handwritten note. If they did something that, you know, touched me, I made sure I wrote them a note to say, hey, this meant a lot. Thanks for doing that. Be genuine, honest, sincere. It goes a long way. Anybody else have anything to add?
Feel free to use the chat or come off of mute if you've got any last questions or comments.
Yes, any other questions?
Lots of thank yous. Very awesome job, Lisa and Cheryl. I know Cheryl already left off, but we really appreciate what you all shared with us. All right, and so if you have any thoughts or questions, keep going. You still have a few more minutes to get those in. And so along the lines, get a lot of thank yous in the chat. So we've got one last chat blast activity for you all, wrap this session up, and that is if you could right now on the count of 3, go ahead and jot down some of your best takeaways from this session that you hope will help you back in your center. So 3, 2, 1, blow up the chat. Very first one was grace. Love it. Not alone in these issues. Communication is the key. Absolutely. In fact, this session's actually going away. This is the last time Lisa's going to present it in this format because this is going to be a continuation of a building relationship communication session. Oh my goodness, I'm way behind. It's not bragging, it's promoting. Amen. Weekly update emails, weekly and monthly emails, outline for monthly newsletters, communication. You're not alone. Absolutely not. We're all in this together. And actually, that's one of the things, that's why we're coming back for this follow-up session. We really want you all to lean on each other and think of yourselves as a class, kind of like, your high school class reunion, maybe you have a college class reunion, and so on. You all started at about the same time. You've been going through these orientation components together. So we really want you to lean on each other. You are absolutely not alone. And the stuff that you're going through as newer coordinators, everyone else in this room has either gone through them or is going through the same thing as well. Let's see what else. Making yourself available to for others to help. Lots and lots and lots about communication and floating around the school, being visible, being creative to show the need of Frisk. Show appreciation, newsletters, relationships are everything, which is why that's what this session is going to become. Attend as many meetings as possible to build relationships. Pacing yourself, do your best, not another FRC's best. Absolutely. Email stakeholders monthly. Importance of communication. Remember the purse strings, use it effectively to stay connected. Putting yourself out there, even if it feels uncomfortable. That's a really good one, Mary Beth. Communication, promoting yourself and what you are to Frisk and to your school, right? Thank you notes. Yeah, I love that one myself, especially the handwritten ones. And you can make it easy. Just buy nice big packets and have them right at the ready, right in your drawer. Communication. All right. Anything else before we break?
I will send a editable copy of the Did You Know, that 6-month report that you can customize and use it. So you will have that.
Great, thank you, Lisa. And also the PowerPoints for this session and also for sessions coming up, we will be putting that all out on our new Training Hub website. I won't put that out right now. When we get back from break, I do have a link to share. We have redesigned, Melissa Newton has redesigned that Training Hub website that she first developed when you guys were going through NCO last fall. It is now not just for new coordinators and returning coordinators, but it has actually become the single website that drives everything training. And so all of your training resources are there. It's where we're archiving Wednesday webinars. And we are going, if you, I know some people had some connection problems this morning. So if you were one of those folks and you need to go back and catch a little bit of the recording, we have recorded almost all of this session. We had, as always, a little bit of a recording glitch. But these will be available, and that will be true of Wednesday. I know some people have conflicts for Wednesday, same deal. So be here in person for as much as you can. That's obviously ideal, especially for things like breakouts and things like that. But if you do have to step away, several people have emailed me with very valid reasons. We understand that. We'll just have those recordings available so you'll be able to complete your training. All right. Sorry, that was a lot of words. Any last thoughts, Lisa?
Nope. I think they shared just as much good information as I shared. So thank you all for your participation. I had enjoyed jumping into 3 different groups. So
Super. Well, thank you, Lisa. And for those RPMs that are on with us this morning, we're going to take a break now. We're going to have a little bit longer of a break. So we've got 20 minutes. We're going to come back at 11 o'clock, and we are going to start that last session. We have 1 hour left, and we're going to start with questions. So already in the chat, blow-ups, lots of questions about programming, in particular budgets amendments, money, things like that. So be thinking over the break about questions you have. And as soon as we get back, we're going to blow up the chat with some more questions, and we're going to turn it over to the experts to provide some answers. And then with whatever time remaining, we'll roll into some additional breakout groups. So see you all back here at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central.